Everyone, and welcome back to Master Site. Today we're going to have Game 3 of the Iowa GT. I'll be playing off against Sean Troy and his Ratkin. So Sean is somebody I get to play quite a bit, which is great and also horrible because he is a great player. So I get to have good games, but it's just Sean's my nemesis, I would say. Goes back to Warhammer Fantasy days. This man just, he does awful things to me, but I can't but help but smile when he does them. He's just a great guy. So, but anyway, let's get into the game, and we'll go over his list first, and then we'll go through the game. So, his Ratkin list is not going to be fun for us. He's got a horde of warriors. He's got three hordes of shock troops, all of them with plague pots, all of them with halberds. He has J boots, brew of strength, and brew of sharpness. So these things are kitted out to the teeth. He's got a horde of wretches. He's got three claw shots. He has three weapons teams. He has Tangle, a brute enforcer with the trickster's wand, two brood mothers, one of them with the blight staff exchange, and the other one sticking with drain life and mind fog. And he has Mother Kryza. Brings him out to 16 drops and 27 unit strength. So, in round 3, we are playing the kill scenario. And it's based off unit strength. So I believe I have 28 unit strength and he has 27 unit strength. So to win the scenario, you just have to have killed more unit strength than your opponent, and then attrition's just the normal add-on afterwards. So we're just looking to kill each other, which, you know, if this was, I don't like kill as a scenario, and I think I went over this a little bit in the preview video for the event, but I think kill leads to just awkward games and some games that could potentially not be fun. In this game, in this matchup, this is not a good matchup for my army, so I could easily just deploy in an opposite corner, sit back the entire game, and yeah, his shooting will eventually get through and kill some things, but in the end, I'll probably kill zero. He might kill, like 500, 600 points of my army, and that could be the game of it. I just kill is not a scenario. It should not be considered one. And anyway, we're gonna get into the game here. So for this one, we have some special terrain, and I will say this terrain feature, we're on table 2, is actually I think it's my favorite piece of the one I played for the whole weekend. So this is actually a two-parter. So there's the terrain feature that you're controlling at the end of the game, get bonuses from, but then there's also another one, and let's just dive in, take a look at it. So the other terrain feature that's fun is a piece of artillery that's sitting on top of a hill. So let's take a look here. So this is what the board looks like. So this is the artillery bunker on top of the hill. And if you control this, you get if you control it at the beginning of your shooting phase, you get to fire the artillery piece. It has indirects, so you can't target anything within 12 inches of the hill. And it always hits on 4s, but it takes normal penalties. And then it's a D3 plus 1 piercing 3 damage with a 48-inch range. So, and it can fire in any direction. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, so that's fun, and people want to go control that hill. But the actual piece that you will get bonus points from at the end is this piece, this long piece here, and that's it's going to be a trench, which I think is pretty cool and done really well. So the trench, um, it was controlled by a good faction before this. So the trench in our game, any unit with the majority of its footprint in the trench at the end of the movement phase regains 1 wound. So you regain a wound. Also, the rules for the trench is if you, it's difficult terrain, and if you are your base is majority in it, you actually count yourself as 1 height lower than you are. So height 2 becomes height 1. Um, so on and so on. Otherwise, it's a flat piece of terrain, so you can see over it, shoot over it, no issues. You have to be majority in it to get the cover and to become a lower height. Um, so yeah, like I said, this is really unique, and it I think it's actually done really well. The one thing I would say, as far as the 2 pieces and whatnot, I think for just kind of fluff purposes, because that's all this really is, right? I would actually like to see the artillery piece have to fire on the trench, or the an enemy unit nearest to the trench. I think that would be really flavorful and kind of add a little something to it. Um, but either way, as it is, I like the combination of these 2 pieces on the same board. And it's a fun piece, and I think it actually matters in the game too. Whereas some of the other pieces, the +1 dread was nice, the +1 brutal was okay. Some of the pieces are, a little bit less entertaining, maybe, or have a little bit less opportunities for fun. Um, but yeah, anyway, this is our table. So we have the hill, which this bunker on the hill, the artillery, we just treated this entire thing as a hill. It's not difficult terrain, it doesn't do anything else. And then also the guns that fire off of it, we treated them all as just height 3, um, being on top of the hill. So we got a hill here and over there, forest, forest, forest. Uh, difficult, difficult, and then obviously the trench, and then a couple obstacles. I think there might be another difficult terrain piece that he's sitting on over here, or flat piece, I should say. But yeah, so this table is a little unique in that there's no impassables, but every table's been a little different than the normal 2 of everything terrain piece. Yeah, and so as you can see, deployment wise, I spread out, but Sean, because we're playing kill, Sean's able to put everything in a box in the corner. So, like I said, if kill and it was like a Masters game, I'd probably just deploy all my shit in the back corner over here, opposite of his stuff, and basically just walk into the trench to regain some wounds and stuff if I can, but and try to hope that my lightning bolt eventually picks some things up while he's shooting at me. So I don't know. It's just not. It's indicative of potentially games not being played effectively. Um, whereas every other scenario forces you to go somewhere or take an objective or do something. And killing your opponent is optional. This one is only killing. So his deployment, man, we got a lot of stuff to unpack here. So shock troops are the purple rats and the yellow ones here. Yellow ones are sharpness, and I forget what the other 2 are, but it doesn't really matter. He has, I think this is a brood mother here. This is Mother Kryza. His wretches are back here. His warrior hordes over here. Claw shot, claw shot, claw shot. All 3 weapons teams. Tangle. Um, and then I think his other brood mother, and then the trickster's wand character is back here. Um, yeah, it's a cluster right now. We'll kind of go over what everything is probably once he spreads out a little bit more here. But And then my deployment is yeah. So I decide one of the only ways that I'm taking out shock troops is if I can shoot them to hell first. So I put a couple of mind screeches here, and my goal is try to peel off his corner, work on the corners, don't charge the middle. That's the goal in life. So both mind screeches, scarecrows, tormentors, soul flares, butcher and dread fiend, scarecrows, tormentors, soul flares, butcher and dread fiend. Funny how that works. Um, scarecrows, and then I put the dread fiend here. Did I say dread fiend over there? I meant horror rift weaver. Anyway. Got Scarecrow or Soul Flares here. They're in a path that they can march up and land without being hindered, or yeah, so they can actually march. This butcher, I probably should have put him over on the other side, but I dropped him a little bit early and then realized that the fight's not happening over here. So um, but yeah, his goal is he's just gonna run around. It's gonna take him 3 or 4 turns, but eventually I want him to try to get in behind stuff. And this horde has no hope of actually fighting in combat, so their goal is hold that trench. So, yeah. So I do I get first turn on this one? I forget. No, I don't. I don't think I got first turn. I think Sean got first turn and shot. Maybe I did get first turn. No, I did get first turn. I apologize. So I got first turn. So I ran up, controlled the bunker with the butcher, so I could use that for shooting. And then just kind of pushed up as we needed to over here. On the left, I did not push up, and I barely pushed up here, just because there's no need for me to run faster into my death, which is, I mean, this detachment is, it can survive for a few turns once we engage, but it has no support. My goal is all of the stuff on this side of the hill is going to try to focus on his edges, his flanks, and then peel that way. We need to allow the lightning bolt enough time to do its work over probably 3 or 4 turns before we can get in there. So yeah, that is the movements. Shooting. Our lightning bolt did excellent on turn one. I think we did like 5 or 6 wounds between the 12 lightning bolt. The bunker indirect shots did nothing though. So and then he's got hordes in range of the bunker now, so yeah, good luck with for me to get it back after there's what unit strength 8 touching that there. I have to commit into his charge range in order to be able to get it. So it's and almost everything of his army is within 12 inches of this damn hill anyway. So it's not like I'm actually getting premier shots off. So um, yeah. So the hill, like I said, I really like the piece of terrain, but in this situation, it's like, yep, see, can't shoot anything worthwhile. So yeah, so he moves up, starts angling his stuff a little bit. This is what this is my turn too. So his shooting, he um the main thing for his shooting is he moves over here, he gets a hex off on one of these, or no, he ran this turn, but he shot his uh claw shots at the Mind Screech over here. Um, I think he only did like 1 wound, but he rolled a box cars. Maybe he did 2 wounds, but yeah, he wavered one of my Mind Screeches, so it's like, okay, well, that's annoying. Um, and then, oh yeah, the bunker went off and shot soul flares, and some of his other shooting lightning bolts and stuff went into soul flares, so they got hurt over there a little bit, but luckily no waiver. So Yeah, it goes to my turn two. So we were just out of range to charge these warriors. Otherwise, I probably would have thrown the soul flares in this last turn. But instead, we decide to kind of push up aggressively on that side. We can't withstand his shooting, and we need to take out the one horde on the front line that doesn't have phalanx as soon as possible and apply the pressure that we can. So we just back up over here. Like I said, this guy's wavered, so we only got 6 lightning bolt going into him this turn. Yep, so we position ourselves behind an obstacle here, uh, stealthy cover. Hopefully we'll survive, and we got some options probably if we do. So yeah, and then throw the butcher in front of Mother Kryza and the horde, keeping everybody in the front. This horde, this is actually a shock troop horde. It's just wasn't fitting very well. So I'm out of front arc of this horde. So Butcher and the Horror Riftweaver can't be seen by Mother Kryza here. So ran him up. So again, want to try to pick on this as much as possible this turn. So or this next turn. So yeah, but my shooting, I might get 1 wound with the lightning bolts, but nothing to write home about. There really is no wind blast targets. I think I do end up wind blasting one of these guys, but yeah. So Sean's turn. He moves up a little bit more over here. Big turn for Sean here. His broodmother that started behind the forest was the one with the drain life. So he ran the first turn. This turn he got in position where he's drain lifing or eat the weak, so he can cast drain life on one of his expendable units and heal his own unit. So he did 6 wounds to his wretches back here and healed 6 wounds off of the horde that I had been shooting lightning bolt into. And as you can see, I think they're down to 1 wound now. So, um, yeah, that pretty much just ruins the entire plan, especially because we were wavered last turn. He also gets a hex off on my guy this turn. So, my shooting is just not going to be doing anything productive for the rest of the game here. Um, just don't have enough of it. So, but that's not all. That was only the non offensive spells. In his shooting, he kind of goes off on some stuff. The what's called the weapons teams. Luckily, he had to move them, so it's cover stealthy. I don't think the weapons teams do a whole lot. There was one of them that might have been able to hit here, um, but what did go off is this bunker thing. It shot at the Riftweaver here, um, and did wounds. He also shot with the other Broodmother that's over there that has the Blight Staff into the Tormentors. So needing sixes to hit me because of cover and stealthy, but did a couple wounds. So yeah, turn two, and we're gonna feel the pain. So first off, he does 1 wound to this Mind Screech, brings him up to 3, and then rolls the boxcars. So kills him, and I'm out of range of his inspiring, so that stinks. He does enough to kill this regiment of soul flares, which isn't unlikely, but it's just annoying that everything's kind of falling that way. And then he, like I said, that bunker went off and did 6 wounds onto this horror rift weaver. Um, so he is wavered now. So he's not even going to be able to help me kill some stuff. And then that 1 wound, yeah, just 1 wound that he did to these tormentors, he gets a waiver on them too. So, 2 units dead and 2 units wavered, as well as this Mind Screech hexed. 5 of our 17 units on turn two are dead or doing nothing. So, oh, It's painful. In fact, it was so painful I had to take like a good 10 minutes or so just looking and trying to find anything possible I could to, how do I come back from that? How, what are our options? And the answer is we don't really have any options. So it was, again, a conscious decision, the wrong choice here, but um, like I have the option of literally just saying, "All right, well we're done," and just turn everything around and run it as far away as it can go, and just try to save points. Because in my mind, the scenario is already lost. There's no way we actually win the unit strength exchange at this point. Um, some of our key units that were in key positions are already taken out or mitigated, and then the so the hordes on the flanks that we were attempting to go in and commit to this turn. He healed up the one. We're not going to break it, and the other one he took out two of our units that were supposed to go into it, and we just don't really have the number of attacks anymore to pull it off. But we trudge on. Let's see what we got here. So we do a double charge into this horde. It's not a good charge, but we do it. We block up this horde. We charge into Mother Kryza because we actually were out of range. We were just in range of Mother Kryza, but we were out of range of these rats. Otherwise, we would charge the warriors. And then we just got to get wounds into stuff now to hopefully pick up something. So we double charge here. Bringing this butcher around, try to get something done. Yeah, that's how the board looks on turn 3. As we expect, there is nothing that happens. Nobody died, nothing like that. So, turn 4, not much has moved because Sean doesn't need to move much. He countercharges most places that he needs to. Shooting picks up the Horror Rift Weaver. Uh, Combat, he picks up the Soul Flares. He also picks up the Horde. He picks up the other Horde. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple waivers along the lines here too. But anyway, so my turn 4. We just say, all right, round 2 fight. Again, there's not really good options, but we were able to find a couple of little things. So you'll see that this is a blank base here, but this Horror Rift Weaver is actually in there. There was just enough room. I was able to just barely see, so we charged the Horror Rift Weaver in. We had Mind Screech that could see over top, charge the flank. Figured since he's eating the weak on that unit, might as well just try to pick up some points. Um, yeah, so, and then we go into that horde again just to try to clear it up if we can. This unit goes in. They didn't have any other good charges, and yeah, they were going to die whether they charged in or not, so we just charged in. Maybe we'll get lucky. Because if we get a waiver, his tangle is on the other side of the board over here, so. So yeah, and then we do all those charges there. Our Dread Fiend was wavered, so he just kind of backs up, and yeah. So, but like I said, we're way too far behind to have any realistic expectation of winning this game. There is no coming back and kill at this point in my mind. Um, and we'll be lucky to pick up a couple units. I feel like so. But hey, we got lucky on the wretches, so we pick up the wretches and reforms look like that. We do 4 wounds, which is actually really good to these guys. I think it's probably average, but yeah, one of the downsides of the tormentors is we are very susceptible to phalanx as an army. There's lots of flying units, and then even the dread fiend gets affected. So um, yeah, we don't have like the we don't have with the troop of reapers. We had a big punchy, not huge, but we had a punchy unit that could front charge something like this, and at least get its full value still. So yep. So Sean's turn looks like that. He picks up the tormentors as we expect. Um, he countercharged into the middle against the horde. I think he wavered a unit or two over here. Um, yeah, at this point it doesn't really matter. So, and then skipping ahead a little bit here, but uh, Sean, I think Sean was maybe running low on time, so he didn't do a couple of things I think he normally would have done if he was taking just a couple moments. Also, I think he realized that the game was in the bag, so it didn't really matter. But the horde of shock troops that was here, he killed a unit, and his reform options, he basically had none. But he chose to just leave them where they were. He could have done a 180 and prevented a rear charge because there was nothing else that was going to be able to charge him. So he gives us a shock troop horde like the gentleman that he is, consolation prize. So, um, yeah, and then he picks up a bunch of extra of our units. So at this point, it's just a couple of units over here. But yeah, the I went in, tried to stop a war machine from shooting. He's coming in and double charging me now. This shock troop hordes into the butcher. So yeah, we're about ready to get cleaned up. He shot off the horror riftweaver that was over here, I think already. So he shot off the butcher that was over here. So he kills the mind screech. He kills one of the other butchers. No, that butcher's alive. So we killed something over here. I think it was a claw shot or weapons team, and then overrun after that. So this is after my turn. He might not have killed this, or maybe it wasn't in combat yet. I forget. Shooting though, he picks everything else up. He kills the Dread Fiend. He kills the Butcher. Mother Cries is just sitting in front of this unit. Has been sitting in front of this unit doing nothing or making it so they do nothing. I think he gives me double ones on a unit. I think it was this unit. Maybe not. I don't know. It's all dying. He chose to kill everything else off and left this horde, and I have the one horde holding the trench back there alive. And that's where the game ends. So, um, yeah, sorry. The kind of that later end middle game, I didn't have a whole lot of pictures to show, but it was all just massacres. So I killed one shock troop horde. I think I killed a wretch horde, a warrior horde, and I think one weapon team. So I killed 4 units. But 605, he killed everything but my 2 hordes of scarecrows. So this is the biggest margin of attrition difference so far, I think, in the tournament. So he got a +4 to -4. The only saving grace, I guess, for me is I had the trench at the end of the game, so I got a +2. So we got 3 points at the end of this game. So what does that put us at? 22. Then we had a what was it? Was it a 19? Did we have a 19 or 17? I forget. I think we're at maybe it was 17. I think we're at 42 or somewhere around there going into day two. So 2-1. There are, I think, three people undefeated at this point. And Sean obviously being one of them, and he got some big points for his wins. So I think Sean, um, no, Sean, I think is yes, I think Sean's up there on the leader side of it. Yeah, I think it's the Sean's actually. Sean Vilmont and Sean Troy are sitting at the top two right now, and I'm somewhere in the next four or five guys. There's a handful of us that are 2-1, all sitting around the low 40 point mark. So, but yeah, it was you know it was a frustrating game. I think mostly because we're playing the kill scenario, and I knew it was a bad matchup. But and I got a little flustered in the game. So Sean is a good longtime friend. So I think I felt comfortable enough to kind of show the emotions that otherwise I probably wouldn't be. But it was a frustrating game, I think, and his rats are extremely good, and he's just a great player, and he plays them extremely well. So it's hard enough to compete against that, and then everything else with some good nerve rolls when you need them. Like the game's, it happens to us sometimes too. The game's really easy when you spike the nerve rolls, especially early on the units you need to pick up. So. But even if Sean, you know, played or even if Sean's dice weren't on, this game was just definitely not in our favor. I think going into it. So chalk it up. Bad matchup, bad scenario. So hopefully we can bounce back for day two. Um, yeah, and that is all we got for this one. So 2-1 going into day two. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.